Oh, no, you're
What's
making.
going on here?
You're making a TikTok.
Oh my word. Okay,
Wait, there. I got you.
Thank you. Oh my word. Okay, yeah, we're gonna get it together here, I think.
So I opened the text message and it was so
Very quickly. And yeah, do
I'm
we
just
have a
go
topic?
live.
Yeah, we're just gonna go because we don't have
Sorry,
this
I
has
was like
been- no, it's
right up in.
How's
Not
it-
you. I'm right up in the screen here.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We just had a little bit of technical difficulties here, so please bear with us. I'm Ian, this is my lovely wife.
Rachel.
We are a big family life in the Simpson family home, and of course 4S with the Simpson family. The 4S representing faith, family, food, and fitness. Faith because we believe we can do all things through him who loves us. Family because aside from God there's nothing more important on this earth. Food because food is medicine. And fitness because we believe that overall wellness can be achieved by pursuing and maintaining a strong mind, soul, and body. So we're just over here using the 4S system to manifest our best lives by grace. Everything by the grace of God, but for grace, but God. This is a segment that we like to call Real Talk. If you know anything about us, this is where we dive into those real world issues and issues that we've had to overcome on our personal journeys as well as our joint journey as a combined family, a blended family of 10. Tonight's topic is, you know what, I'm not even going to introduce it because I don't want to get it wrong. It's something that's very near and dear to my wife's heart, and so I'm going to get out the way and just let her do her thing. Baby.
Yeah. So today I want it's patriarchy. Nah, I'm not going to mess it up.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
It's always a tongue twister for me. I
think it's a tongue twister for most.
Patriarchy.
Patriarchy.
Yes, you said it.
The patriarchal system.
Patriarchal system.
But I can't say patriarchy. I can say
Say-
patriarchal, but I can't say
Yeah.
patriarchy.
Verse mothers.
Right.
And where I want to start with that is, I'm not sure where I want to start with that because that's a whole can of worms for myself. My lived experience, going through a separation, going through a divorce, and then, with the children. It was easier getting the divorce than it was, the custody. However, the custody, when there was nobody disputing custody, it was a lot easier. However, once other people got involved, then that's when things got really dirty. And I'm not sure if you want to go into, I guess, the example or what the current situation.
Yeah, let's start there.
Yeah, let's go into the current.
Let's start there.
And so last night, as we were on Real Talk, we were, you guys all heard the Amber Alerts that came in regards to this 2-year-old boy and his mother.
Here in Manitoba and Canada, anyways, I don't know if it reached as far as I don't know if it's the same system across North America. So, but here in at least Manitoba and Canada, we had an Amber Alert.
Yeah, and so, this was going on, then there was an update, and then by the time I was going to bed, I received information that he had been located.
The child had been located. Right?
And so it was interesting because, the child has been located, but then there's the mother's side of the story.
As always, there's always two sides, and the truth is somewhere in the middle.
And so,
however, I'm going to jump very quickly. I just want to say, first of all, not both sides of the story notwithstanding, the Amber Alert did exactly what it was designed to do.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
Within an hour, that child had been located and was with the authorities. Now, the other side of that is that the mom just turned herself in once she found out what was going on. That's the information we have. I'm going to get out the way.
So yeah, and I'm glad that the system that is designed to help actually worked.
It did what it was. It did what it was supposed to do. No.
Yeah, I know that.
It drew attention to. Now what we want to talk about is abuse of power.
Yeah, and so she turns herself in,
and has been charged.
Yeah, as today
And
in
now
the
the story
news,
starts to come out.
and the story has started to. What are you doing?
What are we doing? We're doing, this is Real Talk. This is our Real Talk segment, and we're breaking down an Amber Alert that occurred here in Canada, North America, Canada, last night for a 2-year-old child. And as the whole story unfolds, it appears that it was nothing more than an abuse of power on the part of a patriarchal system.
And so the child, going with his mother. And
Going home with his mother.
Going home with his mother. And so you have social media. And fortunately, I should say, for social.
That was near her.
So fortunately for social media, we're actually getting more information compared to what is in the news, like CTV, CBC, and and global, right? Because it's always one narrative to the story. They never get both sides. They don't, whatever they can get out there fast enough with no truth.
And then very quickly, let me jump in just to really support that statement that my wife made. A couple weeks ago, we did a story about that Indigenous woman that jumped off the bridge here in Winnipeg, and the police showed up and exasperated the situation. There's been no follow-up on that in the news media. We only have this information because we are fortunate enough to have reliable sources of information at certain levels in certain areas that we can bring this information forward. However, it's tragic. It's absolutely tragic. Let me get out the way. Baby, let's go.
Yeah, I know. And so it's like, so we have social media. So you have people sharing information that can be passed on to, people to actually give other information that is required. And so the information that I had gathered over, the evening and daytime today is first, in the news, they're saying, okay, well, the mother has been charged.
That's a fact.
That is actually, it was in CTV
fact. Let's
News.
Deal with the facts first. That is a fact. The mother has been charged. Go.
And so she's been charged, but they're not saying any other information. So why is there no other information given? Whereas I get that whatever custody, this or that. And however, when you have people showing that there's, I think it was a court registry. I seen one young lady had showed the court registry. I think it was a family member that she's able to, go on the court system and look like, hey,
anybody can. This is public information.
Yeah, it's public information. And so it's like, what are you guys actually doing? Like, why are the Winnipeg police? Because we know from firsthand,
Police
that
don't
police
get involved.
Are you gonna finish?
Issues. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Are you sure? And so police do not get involved. If a mother, phones for assistance, and then why I say I have experience for it is that I phoned for assistance one time. The children had taken off. The 2 older ones because of parental interference and other families interfering with the situation. So they encouraged the children to run away. And when I phoned police, they were asking me all the information, and they didn't even come and see me. They didn't make phone calls. And then finally I got information that the grandfather had them in a hotel here in Winnipeg. And I phoned the police and say, hey, what's going on? No, they're found. There's no follow-up. And so that was an abduction at that point, and the Winnipeg police did not do anything about it. So there's always that instance of, if you have a family connection, to higher up authorities, then something always seems to magically appear.
So now what's not being told? What's the information that's not being told? We have information that the young lady has been charged, that the Winnipeg police and the news media have volunteered that information. They have not volunteered the information that the father, alleged father in this matter, alleged, and I say alleged because he's not on any birth certificate anywhere. So yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting fact. He's not on the birth certificate. So I say the alleged father. There are no orders against the mom. That's a fact. There are no orders against the mother. That is a fact. Here's an interesting piece of information. It turns out that this young man is the nephew of Brian Chartrand of the Manitoba Métis Federation. What's going on there? An Amber Alert was issued for a child that was not abducted on behalf of an individual who has no parental rights to the child, but happens to be the nephew of a major political figure in the province. As it turns out, an Amber Alert can only be issued with the consent of the Governor General. So this is about to get very, very interesting. Those are the facts as I understand them. I have that information from reliable sources. Stay tuned. Get out the way.
Yeah, and that's that those connections within the within the communities, because it's certain things will happen for certain people.
Right.
And unfortunately, unless you're not connected to a certain family, unless you're not connected with certain friends, nothing gets done. As for myself, I've seen myself, just brushed under. Oh, it doesn't matter. There's no movement. There's no, like legal aid. They have a year to actually draft papers. Why do I have to wait a year for, somebody to draft papers? But if I had, thousands of dollars, it'd be done the next day.
Next day.
So why does money have to pay? Meanwhile, children are suffering, mothers are suffering, parents are suffering.
And the children are being used as toys and tools and pawns in an adult's game to manipulate and control another adult. And you know what? As consenting adults, do you as consenting adults, but leave the kids out of it. And notice up top here on the gram say all truth comes to the light. That's a fact. And down here, Nicola, I'm so sorry if I said that incorrectly. Nicola, we're getting a lot more information and like that a lot better, so we can see and look for them. I think, and that's again. Let me congratulate the Amber Alert system on doing exactly what it was designed to do. That child was located, I believe, within an hour. Now, in all fairness, the child was located within an hour because the information we have suggests that as soon as the mom found out what was going on, the grandmother said she made posts she said she was in police communication. They had the child. They were in communication with the police the entire time. And when they found out that the alert had gone on, they simply went to the police station and turned themselves in. Apparently the father, alleged father, because again, he's not on the birth certificate, did the same thing back in September and abducted the child sent the child for a visit and didn't send the child back. And I'm on a couple different threads on this in Facebook, and it would appear there's two sides coming out of it. And one side is that the mom is there's two narratives coming out, is that the mom, there's substance abuse and so on and so forth.
Well, isn't that like usually that he said, she said?
And that's exactly what that is,
yeah.
Right? That's exactly what that is, but that doesn't change the facts as we understand them and have laid them out. This individual has no parental claim on this child. And for whatever reason now we looked last night, the Amber Alert, back in September, there was an abduction. And, back in September, that was enough that should have been able to cause a court order to change, visitations to make it safe for the child. And then he was able to use political influence and nepotism to be in a position to further harm the mother and further harm the child and cause further distress. And we're going to pause real quick because the littles are coming through to say goodnight. We just try not to have those adult conversations. Oh, you're yawning over there, everybody. They're coming through just yawning. Stayed up. It's like 3 minutes past their bedtime. He's just wiped. Oh boy. All right. Okay, watch your course. Be careful. Good night. Good night, Dr. Frog.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see Dr. Frog there.
All right. Say good night. I'm sorry, guys. Say good night. Say good night. Say good night. Good night. All right. Love you. Good night. Sleep well. All right. You gonna take the dog off? Okay.
It says, look how many people been missing from time. Where was the Amber Alert? Exactly.
right? I mean, you would think. I mean, you know what? And I don't ever want to qualify this into this. I mean, again, the alert worked as it was supposed to, and whether that was because she turned herself in, or glory to God, the child wasn't hurt, right? Now, whether the child was in danger is what is up for debate. Whether where we're at right now, where the confusion, the gray area that we find ourselves in right now is, why was the Amber Alert issued in the first place? Not even why, how? How? Because I have it on very good information that these things that I can't just call and and say, hey, my kid's missing. Can you put out an Amber Alert? Right? And then it's just very curious because of the connections that this individual has. Again, the nephew of the president of the Manitoba Métis Federation. The optics on that are terrible. It just looks bad. Even if there's nothing there, it just looks bad.
And I think that's why that patriarchal system that, everything has been organized around to benefit the few and basically men. Men can make decisions about women's bodies. Men can make decision about children. And for us, I'm not more about, mothers have rights. It's equality. It really is equality. I'm not really a feminist, but, there's some things that I do, pro-choice. I am all about that. However, for the system run by men, and when it comes to women, because men usually have a higher ranking, a higher status than women, right? So they can use the powers within Manitoba to make decisions and take children from, the mothers, and then they have usually like the fathers surrounded by their supports. However, when you're surrounded by unhealthy support as well, they bully and oppress the women, the mothers of their, the children, because then the mothers are doing what they need to do to get out, be safe, they end a relationship. And I noticed that children, especially...
Good night.
Oh, good night, baby. Good night.
Love you.
Love you.
Mercedes just ran back because she got scared.
Night, night.
Good night.
Good night.
Got to cut her off before she get into traction. Once she get going, like in one breath, like she just start to go. Like, I mean, that could be a stream of words that end up being endless. Go on.
And so it's like when children are narcissistic people. So basically, so basically, if one of the individuals is a narcissist, it's not about what's in the best interest of the child. It's more of what is the possession, what is the it's not even a person, it's a possession because it belongs to them. Meanwhile, they're not looking into, okay, well, mom's doing fine, mom's doing what she needs to do, mom's, trying to encourage whatever relationship. It's a possession. And so women are, they're always constantly fighting a system, especially when it comes to justice system, when it comes to people within communities. Because within communities...
And by communities, we mean indigenous communities.
Yeah, indigenous communities.
Reservations, as they're more commonly referred to.
Oh, go ahead if you want to go.
You want me to jump on this?
Yeah, jump on that. I was just reading it.
It says that, Grizz says that, Glizz, notice Glizzy, excuse me. How come the Amber Alert was going on when the serial killer's on the loose? It's crazy. They should give alerts all the time. That's so interesting. That's so interesting. I mean, we don't get Amber Alerts for MMIW. However, we have an Amber Alert for a 2-year-old child that was with his mother. That's just an unacceptable abuse of power. And it's so interesting for me to witness it and observe this from my perspective, because now I come from the perspective, I mean, being an indigenous woman and her fighting the patriarchal system within the indigenous community, right? Indigenous spouse, indigenous mom, and the granddad is connected, and her fighting those battles, right? And now my coming from the other end of the spectrum, being a black male with a narcissistic ex baby mom who, would use the system against me in the same way. And I mean, it's just so interesting to see this from, here you have the same situation from the masculine and feminine, if you would. And it's just like, I mean, for instance, now, in one situation, the ex and I were having an argument. It's Zion. Okay. God bless you. All right. Appreciate you, man. Now I noticed that. I know what that. Yeah. All right. I got you. Thank you. Good to see you, King. Thanks for stopping in. God bless you. Now the ex and I, years and years ago, before the separation.
Sorry.
Ouch. Here comes Mercedes. Before the rebuild of my life.
She's not.
No, she's not a cuddler, and Mom just so desperately wants her to be like Bentley, to cuddle like Bentley, but she's not a cuddler. She's just too feisty to be a cuddler. That big belly, oh my goodness. Gotta cut down your feet. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, Zion. So now, one afternoon now, Mom and I are in an argument, and I decide that I don't want to.
Okay.
The ex and I, did you go in my swamp? No, I did not. And I decided that I didn't want to be in that place, right? I did not want to be in that place. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take a time out, and I'm just going to leave the situation. So I took the kids, and I said that the two boys, it was only two boys at the time, the two oldest boys, Nathan and Noah. And we had it was grocery shopping. I worked on a train at the time, and when I come home, it's time to go pick up the groceries and so on and so forth. So I knew I had some groceries to do. So I had grocery shopping to do. So I thought, let me just go buy these groceries. Grab the kids, just go hang out and do something other than be in this space of just anguish and just, what I mean? Just take the kids and just go, just go, hey man, let's go have some fun. Let's go buy some groceries and come back. And that's it, right? And so I took the boys and we jumped in the truck and we went to Superstore just down the road to pick up some groceries, right? And I was there for about, 15, 20 minutes and just my head wasn't in it, my heart wasn't in it. So I said, okay, no way, let me bounce. I just, come on guys, let's go back home. I said, it's whatever, let's just go back home. So now I'd have been gone half an hour, 45 minutes tops. Half an hour, 45 minutes tops. Right? I come back home, there's police everywhere. At our home, there's police everywhere, and I don't understand. I'm confused. The grandparents are there, her parents are there, police are there, and we pull up, and they're all looking, and I'm like, what's going on? And I'm being questioned, and I'm like, well, what's going on? Where? I took my kids and I went grocery shopping, and then I wasn't feeling it, so we came back home. What's going on? It seems that she now had convinced her parents that I had somehow on the spur of the moment decided without packing even so much as an overnight bag to take my kids and go to Toronto. And that I was abducting the kids and taking them to Toronto. And so the grandparents quickly called the cops, and the cops came down. And here was what was really interesting. I mean, if it was just that, it would have been bad enough. But here's what was really interesting about what happened. See, I had a bank account at the Cambian Credit Union at the time. At the time, I had a little overdraft protection on my account, on my checking account, just, for bills and so on. Young person getting whatever. Credit cards were a little bit more harder to come by at the time. This was like almost 20 years ago. And so I had an overdraft protection on my account. And as it turns out, the grandma, had a long-standing relationship with that bank. And I guess what it was that she was considered a more valuable client than I was, because she contacted the bank and spun this tale that, I was going to do this and that. And the bank figured that the only thing that they could do, because they couldn't seize my assets.
Oh, I want you
But the only thing that they could do was to cancel my overdraft protection. They cut it in half, and they did that. You say goodnight, my girl.
Night.
All right. What you mean? What you mean? Oh, it fell apart. Oh no. Okay, well.
She made a bow and arrow.
Good night, sweetie.
Night.
To tomorrow. Love you.
Oh, she must be after those prairie chickens outside.
Prairie chickens. There's some prairie chickens that come around here in the spring. Last year she was out there and setting traps for them like that little rabbit. She put some grapes in there and she's sitting around the corner with a string. You know the little makeshift rabbit tracks? So you put a little stick and you pull the stick out and they get, we didn't catch him. He said, and I said to her, baby, what you gonna do with him if you catch one? He said, I'm gonna go just like you showed me. You're gonna wring its neck and right into the pot. I said, that's right. We don't play with food. We Jamaican. We don't play with food. Where was I, my love?
Your count was.
Oh, thank you. And so, they did the next best thing. They couldn't seize or freeze my assets, so they did the next best thing, and all because she was feeling some kind of way. You know, and no regard to the trauma of normalizing police contact around my children. I mean, that was probably the hardest thing. That was the hardest thing. That's the hardest thing in the world. That's the hardest thing in the world. You know, your kids watching you be taken away in cuffs over some bullshit. I remember Noah, the big 6'8" guy right now. You know, he's 22 now. He had a little friend back in the day. And the friend lived up the road, right? And the friend was a little indigenous kid, and his dad was in a little bit of trouble and was, in and out of jail a little bit. And Noah was about 5 years old. And this little kid said to Noah that, Noah asked where the kid dad was. And the kid was like, oh, my dad is in jail. And Noah's like, what's that? And I remember in that moment, I felt so damn good. Zion, that's your boy, yeah. I felt so good. I felt so good. I felt so proud that my son didn't know what jail was. Because, I felt like, look, it made you humble person. You're giving, facts. Yeah, no regrets. I wear my stripes, and I wear my scars like stripes, man. I earned these. And I felt so good that, I must be doing something right because my child at 5 years old didn't know what jail was. Because I'd never been there, he wasn't exposed to that kind, you know what I mean? And I felt good about that. And I feel like that was like a TSN turning point in the relationship because she saw I felt good about that and I was standing on that. And it seemed like every other weekend after that, the cops was at the house. And I mean, that's just the worst thing, the abuse of power that, using the police officers to win an argument. You having a disagreement with your spouse, you having an argument, whatever. You have, it's life. You have disagreement, you don't like the way the argument is going, so you call the cops. You're losing in your mind, so you call the cops. And then it's always the same thing. Well, yeah, Mr. Simpson, you're gonna have to find somewhere to go tonight. And then again, the kids got to see me being led away in cuffs over some bullshit. That abuse of power, And go baby.
No, and that's it. Even on my part, the abuse of power is, and I gave that example, when the grandfather had the kids at a hotel room without even letting me know. And, the police didn't even do anything about it. Mm-hmm. And then, and that was here in Winnipeg.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't out in the community. That was
here in Winnipeg. And so there was also just a couple of years ago? When I was accosted in front of a church. I was accosted at church. Mm. And because the grandfather wanted to talk to me, and yet, I have that fear of him, so my husband was going to come with me. And, he's berating me, and so then Ian steps in and says, hey, like, what's going on, whatever. And so he starts getting, agitated and angry, and he's yelling. And so Ian, being who he is, he's protecting me, and he's like, hey, this isn't going to happen when I'm around. And we ended the conversation, get in the van, and go home. And what was it, like a day later, they phoned CFS. Mm-hmm. That all of a sudden there was domestic violence, mm-hmm. and you were controlling. And
cops showed up too.
Oh yeah, cops showed up, and then they let us know that so and so is coming. Mm-hmm. And so again, that's that abuse of power. Mm-hmm. Because just because you didn't win that argument,
right,
and you have no control over me anymore, right, you're gonna use the system to hurt me.
Right.
But you're not only hurting me, you're more importantly, you're hurting your grandchildren.
We grown. We grown. I mean, I was made for this. I was made for this, to fight any battle, and on behalf of my God, I'm grown. I will fight.
So it's like,
But the kids, why they gotta be caught up in this nonsense?
and and the point of, even whatever it is that why can't you just communicate? Why can't you talk? Why can't you just show compassion and empathy? Because when you're aware of what was happening to me and you don't do anything about it, and you should know the reason why I left, the reason why I was unsafe there, but no, you want to take the, make me go live back in a community where I was unsafe. And so it's so interesting that, the system is manipulated by people. They can cry wolf when there's actually no wolf. And that's and that's where I'm at right now, because we seen that last night. Like, you're crying wolf, and look who's hurting.
The child.
The child
is caught in the middle. And I mean, I saw with and it's a part of my story now, so I see the situation where now parent A has custody. Parent B is required to pay child support. Okay. Now, I don't care what anybody say. There is a financial obligation and responsibility that goes with having a child. Now, I think it's foolish that these professional athletes and entertainers, and you're going to get $10,000 a month to take care of your child. That's foolish. That's no child requires $10,000 a month to live. That's a different topic. However, there is a financial, and I mean, the funny thing is, I always lived up to my financial responsibility to my children. I always did. And even though she claimed I didn't, and even though I never got to see my kids when I was supposed to, I mean, it wasn't about them for me. Well, I'm gonna punish my kids. I'll show her. I'll stop sending money for my kids. Really? Yeah. Really? Yeah. Really? I mean, and I know people do think like that. And like, I know that there's men out there that actually think like that. And I'm going to challenge you right now. I'm going to get in your face and I'm going to stand there in your chest. I'm going to tell you that, as a man, you have a financial responsibility, obligation to your children. And if you ain't living up to that, you ain't no kind of man. I said it. I stand on top of it. I stand behind it. I stand to the left of it, to the right of it. If you ain't living up to your financial responsibility to your children, you ain't no kind of man. Not in my book. I serve my Heavenly Father. He a good father. He take care of me. And the same way he take care of me, I try to take care of them children that he assigned me to take care of. And there is a financial responsibility to go along with that. So now when you don't pay that financial responsibility, the government takes measures and recourse and action to encourage you to do so. And what's really offensive is when you come and no one asked you for money, but you come and you say, this amount is what I can reasonably afford. And the judge said, okay. And you don't even pay that. That's what you can, nobody asked you for nothing, but you come and you say this, and you don't pay that. So then they take your license. Because that's what the system does. The system does that. That's what the system does. Once you're in the system does that. We didn't do that. The system does that. Progressive discipline to encourage you to live up to your responsibilities.
Yeah, I think it's like there's like a different levels of where you start. I think it's like even support deduction and then
garnishes, and there's steps, and one of the final steps is they take your license. And I hear this grandfather come say to me, he said this to me. To me, he didn't say it to her. He said it to me as if he had a friend in me. Like this is Toy Story and me and him is Woody and Buzz. He says to me that his son can't even work because anything that he would make if he did work would go to her. Boo-hoo! Poor you. You can. Oh man, dog, that's rough. You can't even work. You can't even, because you allowed yourself to fall so far behind in your responsibility. This is now a part of my lived story. He said this to me. He can't even file his income tax. Dude, that's a choice. That is a choice that you made because for whatever reason, you'd rather do whatever that you're doing than to take care of your kids.
And then you have the other side where you were paying and then she goes files the paperwork and said you never even paid a dime.
Left me with a bill for $50,000. MEP started garnishing me $1,500 every 2 weeks. Just like that. I went from being gainfully employed, working construction, you make good money, working 100 hours a week, overtime, whatnot. I went from being gainfully employed to I would have been destitute. I couldn't sustain that. You know, I always said to her, I said, hey, me and you ain't got to do this. We don't have to, put a lawyer's kid through school. We, as reasonable adults, we can figure something out and come to some kind of consensus, what's best for the kids. And then she committed a $50,000 fraud against me. Yeah, I received paperwork, $50,000, said I hadn't paid for 3 years. $50,000 in debt, just like that. So guess what? I lawyered up. I didn't have a choice. Didn't have a choice. I lawyered up. Now, not only do we have visitation, we got custody. Ain't no debt. She owe us money. And she paying child support. God is good. To God be the victory. Right? What God has in store for you can't nobody block. Now do y'all understand what I do, why I do what I do? Why I'm out here praising God? Huh? To God be the victory. $50,000 of debt, gone. Custody to my kids, check. I got the heck of a lawyer. Let me tell you, man. Stenag, Priscilla Sternat McIver of Stenag, Sternat Meneg Law Corporation here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. She's a pit bull. She's the managing partner.
Oh, we butchered that, baby. But yeah,
sorry, I butchered that.
And
however, yeah.
But yeah,
hey, I'm a black man living in white supremacy, and we got our sons out from a blonde hair, blue-eyed Karen. Glory to God. Right? He don't lose no battles. Even though the system was used against me for 25 years. The system was used against me. Been in and out of, remand and this more times than I care. Oh, you need a break. I think that a lot of times, sometimes, she just needed a weekend off. So maybe she needed to go whoring or something. I don't know. So I'd end up spending the weekend in jail. Yeah. And she'd be there to pick me up Monday morning or some stuff.
And that was that cycle. And it's so interesting that those cycles repeated. And now that you have the terminology and language, you're able to see what was actually going on.
Yeah, because I was just an angry black man living in white supremacy for 45 years, and I was impotent with rage. I just didn't have the language to articulate what was happening with me. And we live in a society that if you do not possess the ability to articulate your position or to argue your case, unfortunately, that is how the legal system works. There is justice in this country if you can afford it.
And if you're white.
Hi. It's easier if you're white. I obviously am not.
Yeah, and so it's with women in here in Manitoba, especially when you're leaving a domestic violent relationship and, you know, with the sexual and physical abuse. You have actually have nowhere to go. For myself, I had no supports because I had been taken from a community, or living in a different community. All the supports were all his family members. I had no one to talk to, no one to reach out to, and anybody that was in position of power just turned a blind eye. And then there's no safe homes. There's no, there's people you can talk to, but you never can trust confidentiality. Never. Because I have that lived life experience. And even if they, hey.
True story. Hi, Carla. True story. Yeah, every once in a while I fall off that high path and get down into the gutter and say things that maybe not. Carla had said, speaking bad about your ex can lead to judgment about your credibility, even if they did do you wrong. Yeah, I accept that. And, I accept that. And I accept responsibility for the words, but I won't take them back. Spoken once. I can't take them back anyways. They've been spoken. I can't take them back. I would never speak that way about her in front of the kids, right? And, regrettably, she's never shown the same courtesy. But you do have a valid point, and I thank you for sharing that and keeping me humble. Hi, Miss Michaela. God bless you. Thank you for stopping by.
And what was I talking about?
Go ahead.
So the system that, they don't have anything in place with no confidentiality it's not followed. Because everybody knows your business, or everybody knows your business but turns a blind eye. So once you actually do get away, they like to use the whole cultural, oh my gosh, I can't remember, culturally appropriate. So because
culturally appropriate.
No, actually they want you in the community. So why stay in a community where I'm unsafe? I leave the community for, job, school, make a better life, but it's not culturally appropriate. When the culturally appropriate is colonized for them, so it's patriarchal. Yeah. And, men make all the decisions. Men tell you what to do. Men tell you you have no voice. And how to raise the children. And you have the women that are, partners who are very, not so much submissive, but they just follow along. And so the system then is used against you in that regards. And even leaving, it's so hard because, they do use the system against you. They call police, they call CFS, they can also, I think the word is blackball you from the community, because I had registered to that community and I had applied for school and I was told no. I applied for, help for the kids for sports. I was told no because I lived off the community now. So right away they just cut you off. They don't support you, and I had to do what I had to do and got away.
For the sake of the children.
It was like, no, not for only myself. It was actually for the children, because as a mother, you really want to give them the best opportunities. And for myself, I seen what was going on, which was unhealthy and unproductive, and I didn't want to repeat that pattern with the kids, those cycles. And so using the system to then continue your bullying, continuing your oppression, it's very hard. Yes, it is. It's annoying, but the thing is, I know what I'm doing is not wrong.
Well, you're advocating for our kids.
And so I am advocating. And so I feel that this young lady has to really advocate and make some noise, because the more awareness that you have to how the system and the people actually treat you, sometimes, it's going to fall on deaf ears, but you got to scream. You have to scream. Because you can't allow people to continuously just push you under the rug and say, oh, it doesn't matter.
And now, if I may just speak to that person, if there's a person out there that we're speaking to right now that's enduring this, because unfortunately, regrettably, there is not a lot of recourse for you as the victim. If you are the victim of using the system to bully and oppress, there's just, as long as the individuals, what we found in our lived life experience is that everything that she has done and everything that the other set and then that they've done and then they came together and were jointly working against us to and everything that they've done, we find that they haven't done anything that's strictly illegal, and so there's no recourse. And so then, if I'm speaking to someone right now, I would say if you're in that situation, the only thing that you can do is you have to jump through the hoops. You have to go and document everything, every little thing. Call and make a report, get a police number, document everything that's being done to harass you, go through the process. And it's actually, when you're talking about custody, it's actually, this is a meaningless gesture. However, do it anyways. Go and try to get the restraining order. You won't be able to get one because anytime there's a custody issue, they won't issue a restraining order. But document. And if you're fortunate enough that you get your day in court, that's where that paper trail will come in handy, and you have to have it, because then you have to be able to say that, because they're going to go and say, oh look, we had to send CFS there for this, that we had to do that, and you have to be able to say that yes, they came, there was no problem, here's the documentation, this is, we talked, blah blah blah, and you just got to cross your T's, dot your I's, and you have to document everything when dealing with a narcissistic co-parent. You just have to protect yourself, to protect your children. Document everything, because if it ever comes to a point where it goes to court, once you're able to establish that timeline, you have to be able to establish your timeline. You can't just go in there and say, well, Your Honor, they've been harassing me for. Where's your burden of proof? Document everything. That's our lived life experience, and she is very good at documenting. I mean, stacks of notes. I mean, it's tragic what we've had to endure. It's tragic. Lesser people would have been broken, but for grace. But for the grace of God. And the thing is, the fortunate thing is that it hasn't touched, for the most part, it hasn't touched the children, because we've been able to keep them insulated and protected from it. So, and that's our job as parents, as I see it, as I understand it. That's our job as parents.
And it's always just let the adults do the adult stuff.
Let the adults do the adulting, and you don't worry about this stuff. If there's something pops up that you need to know, we'll let you know. However, we on it. The kids very clearly spoke and said that, we're not comfortable. We're not comfortable. And so, when our children speak,
you listen.
We listen.
Yeah.
We're not those parents, go hug your Auntie Betsy, but I don't like Auntie Betsy. Go hug her before I speak. No, well, what is it about Auntie Betsy's spirit that doesn't speak to you? Let's talk about this. Let's explore this. Maybe the child is simply mistaken. Or maybe Auntie Betsy got some skeletons in her closet that the child can pick up on. Your children, you honor their voices, please, I beg you. Honor the voice of your children. When they speak, please honor them. And yes, children will lie. Children will lie. You lied as a kid too. I lied as a kid. And if you didn't lie as a kid, then you're a better child than I ever was and a better adult. Okay?
But we notice that children lie to play both parents against one another, or to get what they want, or to take the easy way out.
So does that mean that just because your child lies, that one time that they come to you with something that you're going to not believe them? No, I mean, if your child lies, then that just says that, well, before I go into this gung-ho, I'm on, that guy going to get it. They did that to you. Well, that if your child has a propensity to be exaggerating the truth, then you take it with a grain of salt and you try to, you work it out from there. But don't start the position where you say that you no longer believe your child.
Because there's always going to be that one time. So, yeah. I don't know. Like, I just want to see where this plays out.
And it's far from
And
over.
It is far from over.
Because again, the system, and you're talking a system that is across the country, and there was an egregious, gross misuse of power in this situation. And once again, the mother has been charged. She turned herself in, and she has been charged. Once again, the gentleman claiming parental rights, his name is not listed on any birth certificate. Once again, the gentleman claiming parental rights coincidentally happens to be the nephew of the president of the Manitoba Métis Federation. The optics are terrible. The optics on this one are horrible. Zion over here said that, they were able to get a Amber Alert on a child that was not in danger. And I mean, that could have put another child in danger. Resources were spent on a child not in danger could have potentially put another child in danger. That is unacceptable. That is completely unacceptable. That is a gross and egregious abuse of power. And now you're putting children at risk. I mean, I'm grown. You want to call the cops over me over some nonsense, I'll lie down, hold my pillow, and whatever, it'll get cleared up. But now you are endangering the welfare and well-being of children. This is absolutely unacceptable, Brian Chartrand. Unacceptable, Winnipeg Police Service. You need to be better than this. Go ahead, baby.
Yeah, I think we're going to end there because I don't think we're done with it.
Well, as we get updated, and apparently we're plugged in on this issue.
And yeah, you have the people on the ground who are close to the situation, and we just monitor. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, people are just not right away placing judgment on the mother.
And that's you know what, and that's such an excellent point, because that is the society that we live in. Because unfortunately, once the narrative gets sent out, and everybody just jumps on that because it's the one. It's like whoever gets their side of the story out first.
I know, that's why I say these news media, they put out news just because it's first, but it doesn't even have to be true.
It doesn't even have to be right. We just need to be first.
Just need to be first.
Right? Mm-hmm. So we would encourage you to reserve judgment. And don't take our word for it, because, we weren't there. We don't know. We take what we've gathered, the information we've gathered, and we put it through our filters of our lived life experience and good godly common sense, and we come out with, this is our opinion, and we have very good information from very good sources. However, we can't know. However, having said that, the optics on it, as the facts are as they are, the facts, she has been charged. The gentleman's name doesn't appear on the birth certificate. He's the nephew of Brian Chartrand. Those facts alone are damning.
Oh, what was the other thing that he had made a donation to the Winnipeg? The information is on my phone, and regrettably I'm using my phone to stream right now. So I don't want to say anything and be that I get it wrong. However, to be continued. I inquired on we did a segment on the young lady, the Indigenous black gal that jumped in Winnipeg off the Louis Street Bridge, and the police exasperated. It's called the Lewis. It's the Redwood Bridge, but it's called the Lewis Bridge. Really? I did not know that. Okay, sorry.
I've been in the city like 40 years.
No, it's the Redwood. I know it is the Redwood.
Everything has a name. The street is Redwood, but I believe the bridge is Lewis. I may be wrong. I could be wrong. There's just a lot of stuff up here. Anyways, I inquired and tried to get some more information on that. So as that presents itself, we'll put it out there, because as one of our viewers that came in here earlier on the TikTok, she agreed with what you had said, that this age of technology here, you know what I mean, we can send information from one corner of the globe to the other in a matter of seconds. And that's a beautiful thing. And so, we just choose to use this platform to do something a little bit less distracting than to be, everybody, I mean, it's your own platform. Do what you want. This is us doing us. And so, we would like to get out and, share information. And if you can help us do that, we would appreciate that. Cousin Di, God bless you. Knew you were here.
I know
I'm coming in late. You said his name was not in the birth certificate, but was he a part of the child's life?
That is a really good question.
Great question.
Because
the child, bear in mind, the child is only 2.
No, and even though with Callie, for example, right? Callie was 2 when we had left, so you've been a part of her life for 4 years, every day. So he should have more rights than the other parent who's only been there part time or not. When. Do you know what I mean? So that doesn't even make sense.
To that.
No,
that's you.
I know. For me, that's how I'm trying to.
Yeah.
If he was there as part of the child's life, for a time, right? Then, and he's not on the birth certificate. Even if he was on the birth certificate, it's just gets very complicated because you should have as much rights as a parent on a birth certificate because you've been a part of her life half of it.
Thank you, bless you. I appreciate you.
So it's just
the information that we have suggests that it is a conflictual relationship. It is a tumultuous relationship. He did something back in September as well. There was a visit and he didn't return the child, and that should have been an abduction. And he's making claims that there's alcohol and drug abuse on the part of the mother. I have no way of substantiating or denying that. However, it is an obvious abuse of power that this Amber Alert was able to be issued because there was no grounds for it whatsoever. The child was with their legal guardian.
Yeah.
The child was with the legal guardian. How does an Amber Alert get issued when the child is with the legal guardian? There's no court orders. How did the Amber Alert get issued without a court order? The optics on this are terrible. Terrible. As we said, to be continued. As we find out more, we'll let you know.
Yeah, and it's already...
we're coming up on an hour, so we're at 56
kicked,
minutes. We're about to get kicked off of TikTok, or Instagram. They like to keep it at that level, and I think we pretty much covered. I mean, we covered a lot in this issue, and I mean, at the end of the day, to God be the glory. And once you learn to let go and let God, you find that you take you no longer take losses. Because I choose to come back. I consciously make the choice to come back down to this level and resonate at this level where I acknowledge injustice and so on and so forth. Ultimately, my belief system is just that it ultimately doesn't matter because even in all of this, you can still manifest your best life. God has left us the ability to do so. We can choose to be distracted and resonate at this level, or we can elevate and vibrate at a higher frequency where you no longer see things such as, it's Black Lives Matter. Yeah, sure, absolutely, yeah. But guess what? White lives matter too. Oh yeah, baby lives matter. All lives matter. Oh, there we go. Mm-hmm. There we go.
Equality.
Let's just be good, godly, kind, and decent to one another. Let's just go back to the place where, we honor the fact that, my right to swing my arms ends at your person. Right? My right to swing my arms ends at your person. And I'm committed to that. I really am. And so, it just makes it that much easier for us to live our lives because we trust. We trust in a higher power. And everything that we do, we try to temper it with good, godly kindness. Those are the filters that we start with primarily. That's it for me. I got nothing else. I'm gonna let my wife close this down.
I'm good. So yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. And
New
you guys
topic.
have a good night and God bless.
God bless you all. Thank you for the conversation and the interaction. Good night.